Douglas, what's happening? What's cooking?
Uh, you know, what can you say? The world's coming to an end, uh, and and I feel fine. Everything hurts, but I can't
Every-
find anymore.
wait, what? Tell me what hurts. This is.
Everything, man.
Oh,
Like my hips, my psoas, my heart, uh, everything hurts. That's it. I think everything hurts is a feature of how, if you can say everything hurts, then you've been lucky because you've also loved enough and lost enough.
yeah.
The hurt has compiled, and it's just a part of your life. Like I know many of us have had a lot of loss, especially since the last 5 years and COVID. And I think we've lost hope. I think we've lost civilization. I think we're grieving democracy.
Yeah.
I think all of those things are true. Um, but it's the depth of that experience of hurt that reminds you that you are alive, and it reminds you to reclaim, you know, the gift, which is that here it is. It's a brief, warm moment, and for fuck's sake, you better do something about it. Like, like you better love it now.
Yeah.
Um, you know, for us, it's the gift of the first secret. So the there's this vision in the Upanishad
Yeah.
that comes out that's kind of, I think, first articulated there, that's really very beautiful. And it's very familiar to you because it's in a story that you know well. So there's a young boy who comes home from 12 years of his learning, and that's Shwetaketu. This
Yes.
is told in the Chandogya Upanishad, and his father Udalaka Arani, praises the boy for having kind of done his lessons and done his dharma. And we get that long list of subjects and accomplishments. But then he says, "But there's this thing you need to know, and it's secret, and and part of what he means by secret is is that you can find this out for yourself, but it's hidden inside you.
Yeah.
You have, but if somebody helps you, you'll find your way there sooner. And
Yeah.
also that it has very little to do with being a dharma being, with being a productive, contributing, dutiful, abiding citizen, which he's already praised him for.
Yeah.
Rahasya isn't really dharma, because dharma is just how the things that are incumbent upon us, the things that appear occasionally, the things we need to do, and the things we ought to be, the things we need to do, and the things we ought to be.
Yeah.
And and in the great yogas, you don't get congratulated for that. Um, but and not that it's beyond edification or mention, or it's not that it's not a great idea. It's that get on with it. That's what you're supposed to do.
Mm.
But what then Udalaka says is, but there's this other thing about you that you need to know.
Yeah.
And and that, of course, is it is that we are players, participants in a universe that is inalienable, that will never leave us out. We came from an eternity. We are in an eternity we've never left, and will never be forsaken. We'll never be lost to eternity. We'll
Mm.
just simply be reclaimed by that which made us.
Yeah.
And the Vedantins, of course, who are the principal readers of this text, and so have kind of overwritten its interpretation
Yeah.
over the centuries, um, want to tell you that truth, that way in which there is this self, this soulfulness that is endemic to your own reality, that
Yeah.
knowing that is somehow creative of a supernal state of excision from the problems. Like it saves you from the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're this immortal thing and not merely this mortal thing. And that's how they want to read the text. But once we understand the value of rasa in the conversation as tantrikas, you get a very different understanding of what Udalaka is saying there. Because what he wants us to know isn't that we are kind of extricated from the malaise by this immortal fact, but that this immortal fact gives us back the world. Because the world, so Appa used to say, what's the fuss? Meaning, because we came from an eternity, don't pay attention over there. That's taken care of.
Mm.
The universe has said you belong, you're included.
Mm.
The universe will never forsake you. So the
Mm.
secret isn't, and that secret should then take you to the next place, which isn't some immortal state of immunity from travail or from impermanence or from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. It's that guarantee that the soulfulness you are is inalienable. It's a self-evident truth.
Mm.
Should then remind you that in this brief, warm moment, or what the Upanishad rather cheerfully calls your 100 years, like who gets 100, that the outcome of that rahasya is something that's secret. And the secret is you've always been immortal. And so being immortal is not the point. What's the point is that it's that you are mortal. And that's what takes you to rasa. Because then the atirahasya, then the deeply secret fact is that you're here quite literally to love your life, not to find something else. And rasa is how you taste that. It's how you experience that.
Oh my goodness.
There's this sort of fantastic three-step, and it follows a very old, familiar, three cities, triadic, tantric matter. There's a kind of prakata world, meaning there's a kind of world right before your eyes, overt, explicit. Prakata meaning like not prakriti, not the material world, but prakata, like evident, like there for you. And that's a dharma world. And you're supposed to do the right thing, stop at stop signs, be kind to people, all the ordinary things that you're supposed to do your duty.
Yeah.
And then there's the rahasya world.
Yeah.
The rahasya world is the invitation not to become immortal. It's the invitation of the immortal to be mortal.
That's so great. And the secret is hiding in plain sight. And
in plain sight.
You've said this.
Yes.
You've said this before. It takes the mortal to experience the immortal, and then you are the point the universe is trying to make. So it's how do we embrace our mortality when it gets so freaking hard?
Right. And the answer is atirahasya, that the deeply secret feature is that we were born to this extraordinary possibility of feeling, of rasa. And that feeling isn't just feelings or emotions. It essentially abides. It celebrates and it surrounds us, both in the wonder of being human, in the celebration of feeling, and the celebration of rasa, which again is also inalienable. The word rasa meaning like essential, but also it gives us access to those things hidden deeply, darkly inside us, where rasa is how we conjure what lies, behind the curtain of awareness, and usually it stays there. Papa used to say that we we enter deep sleep where there's no recognition
Yeah.
uh, of identity, so that um, the unconscious can enjoy itself and
Ah.
can conceal its shadow from us. Meaning, there's so much deeply inside us that is both wondrous and painful. There's the accumulation of all the possibilities of memory. I mean, all the things we've ever been, and all the beings who have shared in the human experience.
Yeah.
And 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 deep sleep is like feeding the unconscious. It
Mm.
nourishes it. It gives it a chance to sort of leave itself alone and allow that sleeping dog to sleep. Let it lie, and then
Mm.
and then we can, but then we can conjure it. We can conjure that and stir it. Gorni, we can churn it, Choba. We can disrupt it. We can wake it up. And
Mm.
And when we do, then the unconscious filters through our dreams and it filters through our other formulations, but it always comes in that twisting and turning way. It always comes in
Mm.
that serpentine way because it appears poetically. It appears in the way you express yourself in asana, like
Mm.
just as a rupa, as a beauty, as a form, as an
Mm.
expression. The unconscious is to be a yogi is to make beauty out of the unconscious form.
Mm.
And
Yes.
and rasa is the way we tap that because we're human moving through the cycle of rasas. We're always every situation, every experience is characterized by deep elemental emotion.
Mm.
And 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 literally rasa is making our moods engage into something that engages us for better purpose, for deeper purpose. Because we're going to go through these feelings and
Yeah.
shades of emotion. And we want to know not only how we feel, we want to know where they come from. We
Mhm.
want to know because we know that hidden behind the curtain is three-fourths more of us than is seen.
Mm. Mm.
Because that was the most ancient of the teachings.
Mm.
So
Mm.
um so it's wonderful to study rasa because um not not only does it describe a way of understanding our humanity, like why we're like this. We're
Yeah.
like this because we cycle through this dynamic, creative process that underlies our being.
Mm.
What
Mm.
and what makes us human, and you see this in all the yoga traditions, that because the yoga traditions are always grappling with with a pretty fun a fundamental paradox. That's what I want to call
Yeah.
it. And that fundamental paradox is we are all the same, except no two of us are ever the same.
Mm.
So we are all human, but short of identical twins, there'll never be another you,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, even DNA wise. And
Yeah.
then again, identical twins aren't identical. They are. And so the yoga traditions are always saying, how did individuation happen? And
Mm.
how does our individual, which is clearly real in some sense,
Mm.
how does it exist in the inclusive sense of our humanity, our shared experience, our universal? So we're all the same, but each of us is different. And how did differentiation happen? And what happens when we do experience a greater sense of our inclusion, our universality? And rasa is the teaching that wants to get at that problem, to get at that paradox. So let
Mm.
me restate it,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So how are we all decidedly ourselves. We have our own feelings, our own experiences, and we move through those sentiments and moods and states, each, of course, each in our own way over the course of a day, whatever we encounter, who
Yeah.
we speak to, what the day is like, what we're reading, what we're thinking, what's on our minds, what's in our hearts, what's shaping our lives.
Yes.
That cycle of rasas moves through each of us in its own distinctive way to give us an individuated experience.
Mm.
Except because, comma, those things you're feeling, especially when you feel most alienated, most troubled by your individuation,
Mm.
most woe is me, or what the hell is happening to me,
Yeah.
or how come I feel this way? And
Yeah.
the answer that Rasa wants to offer us is so brilliant because it wants to say, yes, you really do feel that way, but you're never alone. Because
Mm.
everyone goes through not exactly what you do through, you just went through, but in fact, exactly what you just went through. In other words,
Yeah.
we're all ourselves and different, and yet we are all human in this most rasa, elemental, essential way.
Mm.
So
Mm.
the first piece of it is that it gives us our individuation. It gives you the integrity and the wonder and the burden of being you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then simultaneously, it says, as distinctive as you are human. You belong to something greater than yourself. These
Yeah.
are shared realities.
Mm.
And then it wants to say, and then it turns the question around and it says, so how are these universals taking themselves up in you? And how do you take up those experiences that are shared?
Yeah.
Because not only are we each individual experiences, individual representations of how Rasa works, Rasa is working on you. Like
Mm.
it's making you.
Mm.
You're not just experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's formulating.
Yeah. And
Because out of the depths of our bodies and minds and hearts, this unconscious reality, this oceanic being that is made of rasa, is making its way into our experience.
yes. And Douglas, would you say that skillful practice of rasa or mastery, if there is such a thing, of rasa kind of depends on our ability to accept what we're going through and try to see it in a positive light? Or we could be resisting the rasa, like resisting the flow. So it's like going with it or resisting it.
Mm, mm,
How can we influence the balance of those rasas, or the essence, the rasa dwani I've heard you teach before, so that I don't drown in disgust, or I don't
right,
drown in
right. Well,
sadness?
well, that radical receptivity is the first lesson of all of the goddess Tantra.
Mm.
Like receive, because receptivity has to come like samarasya, that is the receptivity, the saturation, the receptivity of that soaking experience has to come before samavesha, before we penetrate it.
Mm. Mm.
It's a bit, that's a little abstract. Let's make it easier. We have to receive what's on offer in order to then bring ourselves to the task.
Mm.
So instead of wishing the world were however we want it to be, instead of reaching into it first, trying to make it or create it or force it, we have to receive it and then decide, okay, what's the recipe?
Mm.
So Russ is a bit like opening your heart or opening your mind or opening your feelings. It's like opening the fridge or the pantry.
Yeah.
But then you got to decide what's for dinner. Like,
Right.
I mean, you can't make what's not there. And there's sort of,
Right.
and you need the ingredients, but learning that you've got your finger on it, of course, before learning to be more discerning, more discriminate, more careful with the onslaught, with the flood of feelings,
Yes.
and is is the critical feature of the yoga, because you are literally, yoga is like literally opening Pandora's box. And inside that box are all the possibilities, including all the negativities and horrors and things that are so unfortunately true.
Mm.
And yet learning how to open that box, receive what could come out,
Yeah.
just almost anything, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
And then creating that ability to engage, to sort, to discriminate. That's why bodies and asana can play such a role, because 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 we're teachable beings.
Mm. Mm.
And as you know, because you're so adept, especially adept in the asana and in the somatic features of yoga, bodies can be taught. And things you didn't think you could do, you can. And things you think that are broken can be healed. And things
Yeah.
that are and
Yeah.
things that can't be healed can be addressed and
Yeah.
can be managed. And things that can't be, that once couldn't be, for age or disease or for some other reason,
Yeah.
accident, can then be adjusted or
Yeah.
substituted for or adapted to.
And Douglas, I have a good example. You heard, right, that I hit a bear on
Yeah,
my bicycle, right?
yeah, yeah,
Well, I'm 100% healed from it, and I healed rather quickly, and I was amazed. I'm amazed that when I got hit, I didn't get impaled on a stump on the side of the road.
yeah.
Like, if everything and anything could happen at any time, I feel like I got very, very lucky. And
Yeah,
what I,
but part of that is because you've spent a lifetime not only riding the bicycle, but you've spent a lifetime preparing for the unexpected. I mean, like, who expects to hit a bear, right? So you can't. It's not like you can prepare for that. And it's not like I mean, we've all fallen, because anybody who rides like you have or I have is
yeah,
going to crash.
yeah,
Like, one way or another, you're going down.
yeah,
And and yet and yet the rasa inside your body knows what to do,
yeah,
even as you lapse in consciousness, even as
yeah,
you fail in memory, even as the Maya goes away, even as the Maya kind of overwhelms you, let's put it that way.
mm,
Um, the deeper secret that you've been practicing your whole life, which is how to move, how to
mm,
shape your body, how
yeah,
to twist and turn, right? How to extend and retract, how to expand and create boundary. All of that immediately came to the fore,
yeah,
right? So you crashed, got up, and healed,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
All because the work you have done your whole life, the sadhana, paid off,
mm,
because we are teachable beings. We are, we can learn. We have buddhi. We can awaken.
yeah,
And our intelligence and awareness isn't only this, which is perfectly good. You got to keep sharp there.
yeah,
But because it cuts so deeply inside, the rasa knows what to do. It knows where to flow.
yeah.
So you hit the bear and hit the deck and probably don't have a heck of a lot of memory about
No, I blacked out when I hit. I saw bareface for a fraction of a second. That's only the amount of time I had,
it.
and
Right.
then blacked out. And I woke up on the pavement and was grateful the bear kept going. You know,
Yeah, well, sometimes you get the bear and it gets you. The bear was probably just as rattled as you were.
crazy.
But what I'm saying is that the rasa inside
Yeah,
is it has been refined, it has been curated, it
yeah,
has been tasted and addressed, it has been nurtured and developed.
mm,
And and that means that when you blacked out, all a lifetime's worth of movement and awareness and teaching has
mm,
opens up, because the
yeah,
rasa, you know, as the Tao Te Ching, water flows down, rasa flows in
yeah.
when you give it an opening.
And maybe I
Open.
wasn't. Maybe I wasn't. Like, keep asking, like, well, if I wasn't there Where did I go? And like what you said, maybe that was a moment where the universe just needed to be with itself.
Yeah, the unconscious takes over
Yeah.
because the trauma and the horror of being conscious is, if I may say, unbearable. So I couldn't move there.
So this is exactly what we're going to do in our workshop with your guidance and your teaching and the making those deep connections inside through insight and story, and then learning how to twist and turn and move to help us reclaim our aliveness again, no matter what's going on in our lives. Like maybe for me, it was recovering from, hitting a bear, but everybody, just feel like everybody's going through some form of crisis, internal or
That's
external.
because we're in a collective crisis
Yeah.
of cruelty, of war, of racism, of frightening authoritarian violence.
Yeah.
Uh, but one of the great features of this teaching is that if we spend time learning and awakening, then when the darkness comes, the in some sense, the unconscious, the yogic self, the
Yeah.
soulfulness will know what to do,
Yeah.
and because the soul, it's our soulfulness is not a static feature, it's a liquidity.
Mm.
It's a living, it's why it's a rasa. It's a liquidity.
Mm.
It's a living elixir. It's a soma.
Mm.
So when you hit the bear and this part passed out,
Yeah.
the soma consciousness takes over because the body knows what to do, because you've given it its pathways. You've spent your lifetime doing the sadhana. Then when, in some sense, you need the sadhana,
Yeah.
right? The inner being knows what to do. The inner doer, the antarakarana is what they call it in Sanskrit. The inner doer.
Mm.
And when you turn to the inner doer, then you can find your way. And so,
Mm.
and when you're not there, the inner doer will turn to you if you've given it invitation, if you've given it a prompt, if you've opened a pathway for it to come.
Yeah.
But then the liquid will flow down.
Mm.
Have to create a pathway for it, and you have. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised you healed that quickly.
Mm.
Um,
Mm. Yeah.
I would like to have a talk with the bear.
Well,
I got, maybe he's okay.
I always wonder, like, if a yogi hits a bear, what happens? But what happens when a bear hits a yogi? Like, maybe it received a blessing of its own in some way.
Another picnic basket. Um,
What? What is that?
I said another picnic basket, like Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, reverting to my childhood cartoon life.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. What happens to the bear? I think the bear goes on being a bear. Like
Yeah.
it's going to it it probably was its response of its own fear and its own surprise didn't
Yeah.
turn to anger. It turned to minding my own business, like getting on with being me. Because you didn't pose a threat to it. You weren't confronting or challenging the bear. You
No.
just you two just happened to have a Leela. You happened to have a very strange, playful, coincidental encounter, close encounter with bear con. Um, and, and of course, you both have to bear it. So I'm not going to let up on this. This is only
I
going to
know.
get.
So wait, did you just say I have to grin and bear it?
Yeah.
It's good. Okay, so Douglas, in one sentence, what is the bottom line benefit that students are going to get by tuning in to what you and I have to say, mostly what you have to say, and what I'm going to ask people to do in their bodies? This is a great connection of the philosophy and the
One of the
inspiration.
great teachings of yoga, Todd, is that things can be right before your eyes, or they can be intuitive inside you, or they can be things that are true, are sat, they're part of our being. But bringing them into our awareness, learning them, is being able to identify them when we see them. It's being able, that's why it's sometimes why we call them teacher trainings, because because it can be right in front of us and we don't see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it can be available to us, but we don't know how to avail ourselves of it. And so learning about rasa and learning practices and teachings give us an ability to identify it, to go, oh, that's what's going on. To be able to, because that process of recognition and illumination is the key to a deeper fulfillment. Because
Mm.
otherwise,
Mm.
it'll just pass you right by.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you don't know what you're looking for, you won't be able to see it. And it isn't a confirmation bias, because, and that's where it gets really interesting. It isn't like if we point it out, then you'll see it. It's
Yeah.
that when you point it out, then you have a choice
Yes.
in how you can engage.
Mm.
And so part of what we learn is not only to find out what's available and to be able to recognize these experiences and give them a place and learning how to live with ourselves, but also becoming more creative decision makers.
Mm.
Rasa doesn't give us a choice. It presents itself as it does, like the bear.
Mm.
But
Mm.
it does but it does invite you to make a decision, which is, what are you going to do with the choices you have?
Mm. Yes.
And that's where rasa is a great teaching, because it empowers our decision making, because it raises our awareness and recognition.
Mm.
And when you can be aware and recognize what's going on, then you can say, now I can make a decision about what to do about
Mm. Mm. Yes.
it.
It's awesome.
And instead of suppressing or repressing those feelings or burying them or benignly, negligently ignoring them, we can also we can choose to receive them without fear or favor, and decide what we can do about ourselves.
Mm.
This is how I feel. This is where it's coming from. Now, what's available to me?
Mm.
How do I move with this? And Rasa gives you strategies to alter and shift. It gives you conversation partners, so that, for example, you can put sensual feelings, erotic feelings, in conversation with 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 what lies next to it on the wheel of rasa.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, what's peaceful sits next to what is erotic, but also sits next to what is lighthearted,
Yeah.
sweet, hasya. So when you feel stuck, or you feel like you're in a particular place, the teaching of rasa gives you a way to navigate and to move things along, or to make other kinds of connections.
Yes.
Right? So if you're feeling deeply in a sensual way, one of the questions to ask as we examine rasa, for example, is, how much consent does that give you? How at peace are you with that feeling?
Mm.
It's like a first kiss.
Mm.
Like, you need to feel permission. You
Yeah.
need to feel, as for all the excitement and anxiety and concern, there is also kind of a kind of peace. Like, this is going to be okay. This is a welcome thing.
Mm.
And so where the rasas and how they're organized in what my teacher used to call the wheel of rasa,
Mm.
and how you turn that wheel and navigate that wheel, gives you different ways to kind of move and shift and understand that you're not stuck in a feeling. You're not left in, much less left alone. You're navigating through possibilities that are part of all of us.
Mm.
And learning how to navigate yourself, that's what yoga is.
Mm. Yes. Well, thank you. I think we got quite a bit. I'm gonna stop the recording.